Good morning, students. We start today a fresh chapter of history, which is actually discusses the aftermath of all the things which we have been learning right from the beginning of the session, and how those things, how those events toiled up and then came to a very big revolution which brought a change, a drastic change in the Indian mentality will be discussed in this chapter. This chapter is very, very long. It's going to take a long time for me to explain because each part of it is very, very important. So right from the beginning, right from the first chapter where we began with how Britishers used to maintain records and later what happened and how the sepoys were affected because of the Britishers' rule, how the rules were changed, how the tribals were affected because of it, how the peasants were affected because of the British rule, and how how did the Britishers expand their territory, how did they strengthen their hold over Indian economy, and how did they bring in the army, how slowly they saw to it that they confirmed that we were the supreme power, and how they took over the entire territory, the revolt of 1857, so many things happened one after the other. Now, all these events actually basically raised a question in the mind of the Indians: why? Why is this thing happening to us? And why? What is India? Like, what if you declare the term? Like, if you call out a term India, what does it mean to a person who is staying in India and who belongs to it and whose motherland it is? So the question's answer which came from the depth of the heart of the Indians was that India is our motherland. And no intruder, no person who came from outside just to trade with us can dictate terms to us and then make us slaves in our own motherland. So that kind of a feeling strengthened during these years, as I say, as I wrote on the board, 1870s to 1947, the whole era we are going to discuss right now, what events took place, that we finally got our independence, which was not an easy job because the procedure Britishers adopted to gain foothold over us also took ages, and it was very, very difficult to reverse the happening, and then we had to take away the control from them. That was a huge mammoth task. So basically, when this feeling came out from the heart of the people, that yes, we have to fight back to gain our freedom, then is when the actual revolution started. So in between these years, 1870s and 1880s, a little bit of credit can be given to the Britishers as well, because they promoted education, like we had read in the prior reforms and caste reforms chapter. Britishers had promoted education. Now most of the Indians did get educated and it changed their mentality as a whole. Now they understood things better. Now this actually can say fired back on the Britishers as well, because these people, the learned part of the society, now formed associations, the major ones being INC, Indian National Congress, the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha and Bombay Presidency Association. There are many more names which have been cited in your textbook. These associations they formed an association, they were learned people, and they had in different areas their offices from where they used to promote the thought of, you need to know the meaning of this word, sovereign. The thought of sovereignty over here means the freedom of acting independently. So you shouldn't be under any duress, under any control. You're allowed to act freely, in a sensible way, obviously not harming the other person, but your freedom shouldn't be in the control of anybody's hand. So they promoted the thought of sovereignty. So these associations published articles, conducted sabhas, they organized rallies, and then they promoted in the minds of the Indians the thought of freedom and sovereignty, wherein the certain names like Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, Sarvajanik, the word Sarva and Janak itself means, like, certain names were given to associations to tell the people that irrespective of which caste you belong to, which creed you belong to, what's the color of your skin, which economic stature of the society do you belong to, doesn't matter at all. The word Sarvajanak itself means Sarva, sabko milake, all people together, irrespective of who you are and where you hail from. So these words actually, without the bars of any caste or color or any status in the society, brought in, gelled in people together with one simple thought in their mind, that was freedom and sovereignty, where you could act freely in your own country. Now, the Britishers now knew that this is not going to stop. So now when they were seeing things happening around them, they did not keep quiet. They passed certain acts then and there. So the first act which actually fired back against them was the Arms Act. Now the Arms Act stated that the Indians were not allowed to possess, to keep in possession any ammunition or any arms or weapons. They would be put in jail if any arms would be found with them. Now, if you were to protect yourself from the attack of any Britisher, if you did not have a weapon with you, definitely you would lose the battle without even starting to fight over there, without even having to start to fight over there. So this was one of the acts which was opposed by the Indians, saying that why are we not supposed to, in our own country, why can't we keep weapons for our self-defense? There was another act which again they passed, Britishers passed, for their own whims and fancies over here to be carried out. So what was it was the Vernacular Act, Vernacular Press Act. It stated that if any article of anything published in the public domain would be written against the Britishers, then those people would be arrested by the Britishers. Not only that, their property also could be confiscated, could be seized. That means the press could be confiscated, the premises could be confiscated, and moreover the person who had printed all this also would be taken to task and put behind the bars. So these two acts, Britishers, they were trying to save their power, and we were trying to get back ours. So they started a tussle between us, and when the Britishers saw that this is going out of control, so they, to lure, to I would say, to impress the Indians, the Britishers took out one more card from their pockets, and that was the Ilbert Bill. Now this bill stated that if any Britisher or European would do any error, or they would break the law, then the Indian lawyers were allowed to take them for trial. Like you could find a case against them as an Indian, just to see to it that, like, the Britishers wanted to portray that for us the British lawyers as well as the Indian lawyers are the same, and we don't discriminate on the basis of this. So they, just to pacify the situation, just to ease out the situations, the Britishers tried to do this. But the Britishers brought in this act, but this act was opposed by the white opposition party. Those were the Britishers only. And because of this opposition, the Indians now knew that there was racial discrimination also in the British this thing reign, and then they knew now there was a great need of an association of the learned scholars of the country. And here came in the existence of INC, Indian National Congress, and there were many prominent members who were very, very educated, very literate, very aware people who started this association, and they knew that something had to be done, and these people only could come together, and then on a very large scale this drive, this movement could be carried out so that we could continue with our fight and not cease over there. The basic people being Dadabhai Naroji was one of the prominent members. You had W.C. Banerjee, and you got Firoz Shah Mehta. These many people, they were the learned scholars, and there is a term which has been used in your textbook, publicists. These are the people who used to promote the thought-provoking ideas amongst the people with their words, with their write-ups, and they used to give speeches, and they used to fund these associations, and then they carried out the work in such a way that you would feel, yes, there is something happening and I would like to join. Now, for this, you need to know this basically, that Indian National Congress was an association of the moderates. The moderates word over here means those people who did not believe in violent means of taking freedom from the Britishers. So they were moderates, means they were the supporters of non-violence, and they knew that with non-violence only these people could attain freedom. We did, but I wouldn't say there was no contribution of the extremists over here, those who believed in the violent methods. Yes, but majoritively the people believed in the moderates way of fighting back to take freedom from the Britishers. So we'll stop for till here now, and you read the chapter thoroughly till here. In case you have any doubts, you can ask me personally. That's all for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you, dear.